Our guest today is someone who has worn many hats.
ये इश्क नहीं आसान, बस इतना समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. Prashant Kishore may not have been in active politics. Prashant Kishore does because he's done most of the heavy lifting. Then I joined Prashant Kishore. Now about Prashant Kishore.
Do you think or believe that Mr. Prashant Kishore has some narcissistic qualities in him?
Because your party's founder himself has sold his loyalties to the highest bidder more than 3 or 4 times.
He knows how to win elections, but does he know how to govern?
A seasoned diplomat, a prolific author, and now a politician. Pavan K. Varma.
I spent 34 years in the foreign service. And unlike some other politicians, I'm not a hypocrite.
You started off with Nitish Kumar's JDU. Then you went to the All India Trinamool Congress under Mamata Banerjee. And then after that, you started with Jan Suraaj under Prashant Kishore.
After the decline in Nitish Kumar, by now it's apparent that it's not his fault. He has dementia, he's unwell, and this frequent flip-flops did. He expelled me because of my principled opposition.
Gandhiji has more emphasized again and again on the detriments of alcohol in society. It erodes the social fabric. There was a Lancet study in 2024.
If that was the goal for a moment of Gandhiji, the one thing that the Bihar government has ensured by introducing a non-working prohibition is to do the opposite. Today, under this farzi sharab bandi, fake prohibition, more alcohol is being sold in Bihar.
Can you assure me that all these 243 candidates that you've released do not have any cases accused of kidnapping, cheating, theft and assault?
Most consistently sincere effort has to be first to bring people who have not so far been in politics. Talented, young people who don't get an opportunity to enter the public arena.
In 2012-13, you enjoyed an annual salary of 14 lakh rupees. Yet in 2012, you bought a Mercedes S-Class which was worth...
Not S-Class.
C-Class, sorry.
I wish I could. कहता हूँ सच की झूठ की आदत नहीं मुझे.
This is Take That, where the next generation grills today's netas on the issues that matter. Our guest today is someone who has worn many hats, a seasoned diplomat, a prolific author, and now a politician. Pavan K. Varma spent decades in the Indian Foreign Service, representing India in countries like Bhutan and working closely on foreign policy. Beyond diplomacy, he's written extensively on culture, history, and politics, with best-selling books that range from explorations of Indian civilization to sharp takes on contemporary leaders. In politics, he's been a Rajya Sabha MP, a cultural advisor, and today he's part of the Jan Suraaj party in Bihar, working with Prashant Kishore on a movement that promises to shake up the state's political landscape. But today, he'll be facing 10 young students ready to challenge him head-on. They'll question him on everything from his party's vision for Bihar to the challenges of building a new political alternative to his views on India's democracy, culture, and leadership. The rules are simple. Each student will get 2 4-minute shots at the guest. Mr. Varma will respond to each student individually. Mr. Varma, ready? Let's begin.
Hi, Ambassador Varma. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm Shivom Singh, and I'm an aspiring lawyer. I'm studying in the UK. And my question to you is this. Why should we, as young Indians, or even Bihar, trust the Jan Suraaj leadership? In my mind, it's divided in 2 categories. One is veteran politicians who have been with the JDU and other parties for decades. I'll give you examples, RCP Singh ji or Uday Singh ji, who have been in public office for decades and who have been promising change again and again, right? For decades, they've been saying, we'll bring prosperity, we'll bring employment, we'll bring education, we'll bring this, right? Why should we trust them, A? Or B, newer leaders like Prashant Kishore, who are going and saying that they're going to be handed the mandate for Bihar, which is the most, as you have said in your manifesto as well, one of the most underdeveloped states in the nation. He has never run a government or held very serious administrative responsibility, even an MLA seat. He knows how to win elections, but does he know how to govern? It's like Abhimanyu, you know how to enter the Chakravyuh, but do you know how to get out of it, right? In terms of, do you know how to win after getting in? why should Bihar be handed over to leaders who either failed to deliver in the past or in Mr. Kishore's case, have no direct track record of governance? Can you publicly say that one or the other will be CM in case of Mr. Kishore? Yeah.
Well, thank you for your question. You know, very few journeys begin unless you start.
Of course.
And Prashant Kishore may not have been in active politics thus far, but his decision to enter politics, with the vast experience he brings in terms of electoral strategy,
yes,
when it was married to an ideology based on conviction and sincerity,
yes,
and exceptional hard work at the ground level,
yes,
that provided the proof to the Bihari people who were asking precisely the question you are asking.
yes.
Why trust him?
Why trust?
So, there's a very simple couplet in Urdu which we
Very
discussed.
famous for them, so.
No, we discussed before he took this decision.
Yeah.
ये इश्क नहीं आसा, बस इतना समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. So we knew that the struggle would be not by announcing a party in Patna or Delhi, but by going through that Agni Pariksha. That is why on 2nd October 2022, he went into a 2-year Padyatra, going completely underground, living in a tent, walking 5,000 kilometers, every day 17, 18
Absolutely.
kilometers,
Yeah.
and visiting 5,000 villages with a simple message, reiterated with sincerity. For too long, Bihar has been manipulated on 2 counts, dharma and jati, religion and caste.
Absolutely.
Enabling the same caste of people to come back to power, who come back to power for the sake of power.
Yes.
And for the last 30 years,
That's
Bihar is
absolutely.
where it was 30 years ago, the most backward, not one
Yes.
of the most backward and the most poor state of Bihar. Obviously, therefore, there is a need for change.
I agree.
And he was educating the voters. We were not a political party.
Just educating the voters about who to vote for.
What to vote for,
Absolutely.
not
No,
who to vote.
what to vote.
What
Yeah.
are the issues that matter?
Sir, but my fundamental question is ki, I understand that Prashant Kishore is a new face and you need some change. But what about the existing party leaders who've been there for decades and been promising change again and again? So the mix doesn't work in my mind.
So you will see in the mix of the candidates
Yes.
who are now chosen, a lot, the majority are new faces.
Absolutely.
Yes, there will be some old.
We'll
who
discuss
are-
this in the next round. Sir, thank you so much. Yeah.
Hi, sir. My name is Shivang Shukla. So,
Shivang.
do you think or believe that Mr. Prashant Kishore has some narcissistic qualities in him?
Narcissist.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that as a leader, if narcissism is translated to belief in yourself, yes, he has.
But, sir,
Yeah.
But sir, do you think a party can only be about one person? Because sir, when we open Jan Suraaj's social media accounts, YouTube channels, or maybe the interviewers, or maybe the people who go out to give interviews from the party, it is only one man, and that is Prashant Kishore.
You're discounting me.
Sir, yes.
I'm the
sir,
national
yes, sir.
spokesperson.
Yes, sir. This
I
is the
come
problem.
every day on 3.
Sir, I want to see you more on the TV. I want
very
to see you
good.
more on the screens.
I do come, and I have been coming very often. And there are many other spokespersons who perhaps don't get the same prominence. I have held workshops with them, and they are on television. Yes, Prashant Kishore does, because he's done most of the heavy lifting. I'll give you an example. When he was walking alone, he started from Champaran. There were a couple of 100 people with him.
Okay.
It's not easy to stay for 2 years in a tent and walk 18 kilometers every day, taking a vow not to sit on a mobike or a car.
But sir, now I
Through
think
winter, through summer, through the monsoons. So the maximum number of times he was,
But sir-
people interviewed was him.
But sir, the amount of kilometers he has traveled that you have already mentioned, don't you think that he has come far enough that he has enough people with him now? And you should bring them to the fore as well.
In fact, let me say to you that the paid up membership, and each of them is a spokesperson and an ambassador. The paid up membership of Jan Suraaj is now close to 1 crore 30 lakhs.
Yes,
now,
sir.
that's
So
a
then we
paid
should
up
represent it
membership.
as well.
And therefore, you have an army of people.
So we need to
give you an
represent that
example.
army.
I'll give you an example. We have trained 6,000 YouTubers.
Okay.
Now, each of them, back in their block, village or district, are daily uploading videos which they are anchoring. We have a 5 crore viewership every day in Bihar, and they are being anchored by young people who believe Bihar needs a change.
So
these are so many voices, they may be a little overwhelmed.
So we
by
haven't seen even a single
Kishore.
candidate by now. So he goes out. So Mr. Kishore goes out to assembly constituencies and talk about that he is going to pick the best lawyer, the best doctor, or maybe the best person in any particular field, and then that particular person is going to represent the assembly constituency. But he never brings that person to the fore. Maybe in this time people can read more about him, people can research more about him. There's absolutely no time. Just before the election,
the first party in Bihar. Now you'll allow me to speak for 30 seconds before.
Oh, sure, sir.
Or 20 at least.
Okay.
We are the first party to announce a complete list of candidates for 243 seats. No other party has done it. Why have we announced it early? So that these very candidates become known to not only their constituents, but get a platform far enough from the election to be able to establish their identity. That is why, has any other party announced a list of candidates?
Not yet, sir.
The Jan Suraaj has. Because we want to give an opportunity for young talent, young blood, new faces in the party to have enough time to prove that they qualify to represent the ideas of change that Jan Suraaj wants to bring about.
So, sir, when can we see those new faces?
The list has been announced. Now, one way to see them is not to watch the national challenge.
Sir, absolutely.
Go to Bihar. Go to smaller platforms. Go to YouTubers. Go and talk to constituents, and you'll see they have a voice. Okay. The point is, talented people like you don't want to move out to actually know the pulse of the ground.
Sir, but I would like to see those people come to the fore as well. So, for people like me who
welcome,
can't come outside
to
can watch it.
Them.
Hi, Ambassador Pavan. I'm Shreya. You know, once an ambassador, always an ambassador, they say. So you've been a career diplomat. You've had the privilege of representing India in Bhutan and Cyprus in capacity of an ambassador. And that comes with that, I feel you know the importance of soft power. When we look at Bihar now, you just told him, go to Bihar, visit Bihar. How many people in India, especially youngsters, would want to visit Bihar purely from a tourism angle? Why is it that we do not invest in building that soft power for a state that is so rich in culture, heritage, has so much history to offer? And we could potentially even make it like a Rome or a Greece, but that thought never strikes us. We always feel Bihar, when I imagine Bihar, I find the image brutally tainted with poverty, backwardness, and that's unfortunate because I would not want to visit Bihar, but I would want to go to Rome n number of times. So what do you think
I completely agree with you.
Yes.
For 30 years when a state is neglected in terms of bringing about genuine ground roots administrative change. You cannot suddenly pluck out tourism as one thing that will stand out because tourism itself is embedded in the general condition of the state.
But now, neglect can also lead to tourism. Look at Dharavi, for instance. I mean, it is negative tourism.
We don't want that kind of tourism. Maybe you have people who want to go to Dharavi. Bihar has enough poverty of its own. But yes, Bihar has both Gaya. Bihar has Nalanda. Bihar has Pavapuri, which is the holiest shrine for the Jains. Next to Bihar is Patna Sahib, which after Ajmer Sharif is a very prized shrine for Muslims. You have Gaya Ji, which is a very important destination for Hindus. You have Sher Shah's fort. So there is enough in Bihar to do, but if there is no governance, for 30 years Bihar has seen literally no governance, and one proof of that is that Bihar is exactly where it was 30 years ago, the poorest and the most backward state in the country. And tourism cannot be seen in isolation. If the roads are not good, if there are no hotels, if there is lawlessness, why would people come to Bihar for tourism? Whereas the potential exists.
But what do you think, speaking from your experience, I mean, you've seen how Bhutan is. Bhutan and Bihar would be possibly the most opposite places known to mankind. How could a Bihar potentially become a Bhutan when it comes to tourism? And how could you help with your experience?
I don't know how opposite they are, because a lot of Bhutanese come to Bihar because it's a Buddhist destination. And, places and people can be different, but the manner in which you give space for the potential that they can achieve, that can vary.
But do you think this needs to start at home? I think we need to convince Indians first that they want to visit Bihar. Only then can we even...
I don't know whether we are putting the cart before the horse. If I want to convince you to go to Bodh Gaya during Lalu Yadav's rule, when after 6 nobody stirred out, would you go?
But if we look from an evolution perspective, people were even skeptical of going to the Middle East at one point in time. But they kind of took that skepticism and converted it through the soft power of movies.
What changed it?
Movies.
What changed it?
I think the general well-being as a...
Correct.
Yeah.
Better milieus, governance, development. Bihar is crying out for that. Once that happens, you will see Bihar's tourism potential will also be fulfilled.
We'll carry this forward in the next round.
Very good evening, sir. My name is Chirag and I'm currently studying in University of Delhi. Before I pose my question...
Chirag?
Chirag, yes, sir.
And studying?
In the Alsing College, University of Delhi.
What subject?
Life Sciences. Before I pose my question, I'd like to read a letter. I think you might recognize it. I've seen in so many cases that liquor has not only robbed men of their money, but of their reason. They have for the time being forgotten the distinction between wife and mother, lawful and unlawful. I've seen drunken barristers wallowing in gutters, carried home by the police. This was taken from India's Case for Swaraj and it was written in 1920s. This letter was penned by the very person whose face adorns your party symbol and whose ethos and principles you invoke in your manifesto and in your party core. So it's striking as hypocritical with the party's contentious stance on prohibition. Would you like to chime in?
Certainly. Let me say 2 things. First of all, even if we to assume that Gandhiji said that you should not drink alcohol and make it law in terms of prohibition, which he never said, but I'll come to that later. Let us at least achieve that objective. Today, under this farzi sharab bandi, fake prohibition, more alcohol is being sold in Bihar. Apart from it having fostered a new alcohol mafia whose efficiency is unbounded. Choose your liquor, there is home delivery. Have your party, what is finished is marked and taken back home. Alcohol is available in every village and in greater quantities than before. 20,000 crores of revenue is being lost. An entire generation in Bihar has been wiped out. I'll tell you why. They don't want to work after their graduation. They have a mobile, they cross the border and Bihar is not a landlocked state. Cross the border, bring in 3 bottles, local police allows them, make a premium of 500 rupees on each bottle and it's enough to live comfortably. If there was prohibition, we can talk about whether it's good or bad. Bihar is swimming in alcohol. Apart from having corrupted the police and created a most pernicious mafia. Let's come back to Gandhiji. That was your question. Gandhiji is prohibition part of anything in the constitution except the directive principles. It was an advice that people should not be encouraged to drink alcohol. Gandhiji never said that there should be the imposition of prohibition as law. He never said it. So therefore, if Gandhiji's dictum has to be followed, which is to, as far as possible, reduce the consumption of alcohol, the current prohibition has done the opposite by increasing the consumption of alcohol and making it more expensive and available everywhere. What objective have you achieved?
So I think you're just looking at it from a perspective of tax and financial.
No. I'm giving you the human cost.
Gandhiji has more emphasized again and again on the detriments of alcohol in society. It erodes the social fabric. There was a Lancet study in 2024
Chirag,
as well.
Am I right, Chirag?
Yes.
Chirag, if that was the goal for a moment of Gandhiji,
Ji.
the one thing that the Bihar government has ensured by introducing a non-working prohibition is to do the opposite. There is more alcohol, syrup, and let me give you another cost to it. Some 3 lakh prisoners of the poorest category are in jail because they can't afford bail and have been arrested because of prohibition.
We'll get back to it, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi. So, over the last 10 years, sorry, you've shifted your political loyalties. You started off with Nitish Kumar's JDU. Then you went to the All India Trinamool Congress under Mamta Banerjee. And then after that, you started with Jan Suraaj under Prashant Kishore. Suraj, sorry. So, your party's founder has had a history of doing the same thing. He has been a political strategist for the BJP, the Congress, the YSRCP, the DMK, the TMC, the Aam Aadmi Party. So would it be safe to say that you and your party's founder practice a Ayaram Gayaram style of politics, and that because you don't have a strong ideological foundation, because your party's founder himself has sold his loyalties to the highest bidder more than 3 or 4 times. Okay. So my second part of my question is...
Should I answer the first before you come to the second?
They're both
otherwise...
They're both linked.
Okay,
they're both linked. Prashant Kishore issued a 5-point program to improve the state of Bihar. He said that Palayan needs to be stopped. Then after that, he said the education system needs to be improved. Women and farmers need to be given economic power. And you need to give a respectable pension to the elderly. This is exactly the same as what the RJD, Congress, BJP or the JDU would likely purport. So how can you tell me that the Jan Suraaj party is different from any of these parties? The only common factor amongst the 4 parties I've mentioned is that Prashant Kishore has worked for 3 of them and now he's a critic of all of them.
Good question. Let me answer it in the same sequence.
Okay.
First of all, about myself. I resigned from the Foreign Service to join Nitish Kumar when he was at his peak, not politically, but in terms of the influence he wielded. After the misrule of 15 years of Lalu Yadav, also dubbed the Jungle Raj, when he came to power in 2005, Bihar saw a temporary but radical improvement, especially in lawlessness.
Okay.
When I joined him in 2012, he was the most polished product of the socialist movement, exceptionally bright, educated, an engineer, and with the potential, possibly, but I didn't disturb you, so you must give me also 20 seconds to answer. Sure. With the potential of actually becoming the Prime Minister of India. He was extremely focused on what he needed to do. And I joined him then because I felt he had the potential to do something for Bihar. Second question. Yes, after the decline in Nitish Kumar, by now it's apparent it's not his fault. He has dementia, he's unwell. And this frequent flip-flops did. I left Nitish Kumar not because I left, he expelled me because of my principled opposition against not the CAA alone, but the CAA hyphenated with the NRC, which I thought would be unfair to the poor and to the minorities.
Yeah.
I voiced my protest openly, he expelled me.
Okay.
Then I joined the TMC because at that time, very briefly I'll say in one sentence, there was the possibility of the TMC becoming a national party and not merely a regional party, and a lot of leaders from different groupings joined in order to have a counterfoil to only one great leader, which was Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Okay.
That experiment didn't work, so I left. And for some time, I didn't remain with any political party. Then I joined Prashant Kishore. Now about Prashant Kishore, because that was your second question. Before 2022, October 2nd, he was not in politics. He was an electoral strategist. So therefore, he worked with different political parties.
Fair enough. But if he was a political strategist, he was helping certain parties win elections. But even within that, if in America, if you're a political strategist for a Democrat, you don't flip and become a political strategist for a Republican.
You'll be surprised. The strategist is paid to do a job.
But sir, Zameet.
He was helping a party. But we'll come back to it. You'll have a chance for rebuttal. You can try and grill me.
Sure.
नमस्ते सर, मेरा नाम अथर्व टंडन है.
Atharv.
सर, मेरा आपके लिए सवाल है that you were the Indian ambassador to Bhutan for 4 years. You were honored as the only Indian ambassador to Bhutan to win the highest civilian honor in Bhutan. And skipping a few years, in 2020, as you mentioned before, that you opposed the CA-NRC, which was brought in by the current government. So yet, I find that in all of your writings, literary works or commentary, it's missing that Bhutan's alleged ethnic cleansing, which took place about 30 years ago or so, is clearly missing. And it was a movement targeted specifically on the Lotsampa community, which is a minority in Bhutan, where a huge chunk of the population was displaced, between 85 to 100,000 people. And so yet I don't find any mentions of this event by you, despite you being closely connected to the sort of higher brass over there, whether be it bureaucratic or political. And so seeing your activism for minorities, I just find it curious that why was that specific instance missing?
Well, I was ambassador to Bhutan. I was not the advisor to the Bhutanese. My job in Bhutan was to further India's interests and to ensure that India-Bhutan relations become stronger, especially with a neighbor like China, who has been trying to seek a foothold in Bhutan for the last 30, 40 years and has so far not succeeded. Bhutan is very strategically placed for us. It's a buffer state between India and China, and if you look at the chicken's neck, if Chinese managed to get a toehold into Bhutan, we are in strategic danger. My job was to protect our interests in Bhutan.
Yes, sir.
With regards to Bhutanese policy internally, I am not one of those who says, "Ab ki baar Trump sarkar." I am not a participant in Bhutan's internal policy, except that as a matter of principle, I always invited in a new democracy the leader of opposition to my house for my dinners and banquets. And I used to always joke with him, and this is an aside, the assembly, the parliament was 45 members, leader of opposition at 2, ruling party at 43. But I would still invite him because he was the leader of opposition and joke with him that you are the prime minister in waiting. And lo and behold, in the next election, he became prime minister and still remembers the support he had from me.
Yes, sir.
My job is to further India's interests in Bhutan. As far as Bhutan's policy to the minorities are concerned,
Yes, sir.
you see, Bhutan watched what happened in Sikkim. While the Dorji was busy in other things, the demographic population of Sikkim changed in favor of Nepalese. And soon they became the masters, and the actual community that was dominant in Sikkim became a minority. Bhutan cannot risk that. And I'm not saying their policy is correct, but it's not my business to interfere in their internal affairs.
I understand that, sir, but you just now commented on how they were becoming a more stable majority within Bhutan. But on a moral standpoint, is it not wrong to bring in legislation which specifically targets the culture of specific minorities?
Well, I would leave that for the Bhutanese government to decide. You yourself said, or somebody said, once an ambassador, always an ambassador. I am not going to publicly interfere in the internal matters of Bhutan.
Okay, sir. I'll catch you next time with another question.
Namaste, Pavan Ji. My name is Aditya, and I want to be an aspiring policymaker just like you.
Okay.
So you keep accusing the BJP, RJD, and the Congress of playing caste arithmetic and failing to campaign on development. However, the Jan Suraaj has a party presence structure based on rotational representation, where right now the first state president is a Dalit, expected to be followed by an EBC or a Muslim, and then from
correction. First working president was a Dalit from the Foreign Service. The second one is, well, if you want to say Uday Singh, who is from, who's a Rajput. Then we will have somebody who's an OBC, ABC, and a Muslim.
Correct, sir. So, sir, do you not think that you're playing the same caste politics just like the other parties? And do you not think that an upper caste or different caste can represent the interests of the lower caste and the minorities themselves?
A very good question, and I really would like to clarify this. First of all, not being manipulated like puppets in the hands of a master puppeteer on the question of caste is one thing. To give adequate representation to different segments of society is another. What is our purpose? Our purpose is that it should not become a party dominated by any one segment, and that all significant segments of society of Bihar have ultimately a chance to helm the party, contribute to its making of policy, and be given the right opportunity. What is happening in the BJP, the RJD, the Congress and the JDU is that their entire strategy is a caste arithmetic as a substitute for governance. What is Lalu Yadav doing, or what Tejaswi, who unfortunately failed to pass school, doing? He is using what is called famously the MY card. That irrespective of governance, irrespective of the past history of Jungle Raj, irrespective of the fact of corruption, irrespective of their complicity in corruption, take the Muslims, make them scared of the BJP so that they come to you. Take the Yadavs, which are one of the largest segments in Bihar.
Yes, sir.
MY, win an election.
But sir,
we are against this kind of cynicism in politics. But we believe that in a representative democracy, you must have all segments given an opportunity to helm the party.
got it, sir. So you think that, first of all, just clarifying that caste is a factor when you select a candidate from a particular constituency, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, sir, can you assure me that all these 243 candidates that you've released do not have any cases accused of kidnapping, cheating, theft and assault that we saw in the Bihar bipolar elections last year of 3 of your candidates being accused of many criminal charges? Can you assure me that none of them have it, sir?
I can say to you with absolute honesty that of the 243 seats, and we are the only party announcing candidates for all 243 seats on our own, our most consistently sincere effort has to be first to bring people who have not so far been in politics, talented, young people, who don't get an opportunity to enter the public arena.
Yes, sir, but my
to
question...
give it. I'm coming back to it. I'm coming to your question, to that. Secondly, to make the selection merit-based. Thirdly, definitely to take into account, in a particular constituency, demographic factors which will help in choosing a candidate who combines merit and the possibility of maximum support. And lastly, coming to that, and lastly, to the best of my knowledge, we will not allow criminal animals to represent the Jan Suraaj.
Hi, sir. It's nice to meet you. I'm Ria. I'm studying in the UK. So,
what are you studying?
I'm studying land economy. Land economy, it's policy. So, Jan Suraaj presents itself as people's movement to transform Bihar. But Bihar's biggest problems, lack of industry, brain drain, dependence on remittances, can't be solved by state...
Dependence on?
Remittances. Can't be solved by state politics alone. They depend on central allocations, special category status, GST compensation and national infrastructure projects. How will Jan Suraaj negotiate with Delhi? If you remain critical both of BJP and Congress, how do you plan on making connections and forming alliances that would help Jan Suraaj further Bihar and get them central support?
Well, first of all, we are trying to transform Bihar by a change in some of the very basic policies at the moment being implemented in Bihar. Let me give you some examples. The people of Bihar deposit money in a bank. Roughly 60% of that money is siphoned out of Bihar by the banks, so that there is no subvention of interest allowable to poor Biharis who have put their savings in the bank. We are going to put a stop on that. Secondly, there is a great level not only of brain drain but labor drain from Bihar because there are no jobs. So, for instance, you said the BJP. BJP's leadership helps to bring faster trains from Bihar to carry laborers to factories in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, where they work at the cheapest possible wages to make production in those states.
So, but then what's the alternative in Bihar?
So therefore, we are committed to creating resource-generating jobs in Bihar. And we have a scheme for it, which we will announce. We will see it as part of our blueprint for implementation. Thirdly, how do we remove poverty in Bihar? You said, what is the roadmap? You have to attack agriculture. Right now, the maximum amount of agriculture is on the conventional crops. Our goal is to make 1/3 of the land base for agriculture into cash crops, for which we will provide the interest. Fourthly, Bihar lacks education, so that you can't produce people of talent who can contribute to Bihar. If there's a school, there's no teacher. If there's a teacher, there's no school. We have said we will pay for every child to go to a private school which is functioning, to give us those 5 years to build in every district a model school.
So then do you believe that state politics can function alone without central support in any of the states in India?
Everything I have said, I have not said that we are becoming an autarky, an island unto ourselves. Of course, but we cannot only depend on the largesse of the center.
Of course, sir, but
we have to implement state policies which are conducive to the development of Bihar. And that is what we plan to do. When opportunities arise, I don't only depend on the center. I will welcome investment. Bihar has a population of 14 crore. If they have the money, they are the biggest consumers. Industrialists, I know, are waiting for situations to improve infrastructure, to develop people, to have incomes in order to invest in Bihar. But those conditions are not created.
Yes, sir.
We are going to do precisely that.
My question is more about how do you plan on negotiating with central, like the center government?
Ideally, we'll have our own government at the center. That may take some time. But if not, we are not bad negotiators. We'll give our reasoning. There are forums. If you are in opposition to the center, it doesn't mean.
Sir, I'll get back to you in my next.
It doesn't mean. You come back to me.
Hi, I'm Daniela. I'm aspiring to study media. So, Mr. Varma, many of your books, from being Indian to becoming Indian, and your biography of Mirza Ghalib and Adi Shankaracharya,
Ghalib, not
Ghalib, my bad, highlight the syncretic and composite nature of India's culture, a legacy leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru strongly celebrated. Yet today, we see textbooks rewritten to erase parts of history, films and books censored, food politicized through beef bans, and even on the ground, communal clashes like the 2020 Delhi riots or the 2023 Manipur violence reveal how fragile that harmony can be, while traditions like Lucknow's Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb visibly erode. In such a polarized climate, how can India realistically preserve and nurture this pluralistic ethos, and what concrete steps are needed beyond simply invoking heritage?
I think, first of all, Daniela, you must be informed. One of the reasons, when faced with this kind of majoritarian prejudice or partisan educational pedagogy, you have to be informed. Why did I write the biography of Mirza Ghalib? To educate myself. I went to the leading bookshop in Delhi and asked if they have a biography on Ghalib, one of the greatest poets the world has seen, and they said they don't. It's like going to a bookshop in London and asking for a book on Yeats or Eliot and being told you don't have it. We don't know enough about our own culture. Why did I write on Adi Shankaracharya, Hinduism's greatest thinker? Why did I write the great Hindu civilization? Why have I written on Chanakya? Why have I written the great Indian middle class, becoming Indian, being Indian? Even my book on Krishna. Because if you are well informed, you will be able to better resist the attempts to prejudice objective historical writing. And excesses can take place on both sides. I'll give you an example. For instance, there was earlier an attempt by leftist historians to downplay the destructive impact of Muslim invasion. Then there was an attempt at the same time by historians of completely vilifying the invaders and devaluing Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, which exists today as a live, vibrant, syncretic culture. If you know more about it, you are in a position to fight. If you don't, you get co-opted.
Right.
So therefore, my journey has been a journey of discovery. And I think I can best fight it in that way, because in our country, you cannot change history without distorting the truth.
Right. So what are more steps apart from information that can be taken for people to come to a position where this culture is not being eroded?
In my view, political activism is certainly one of them. Knowledge is one of them. When I wrote Adi Shankaracharya, I think one of the greatest minds the country has produced, I was asked by educated, well-to-do middle class, upper middle classes people in metropolises, when did he live? What did he write? People don't know. Do you know the Haveli of Mirza Ghalib was a place where a kabadiwala used to sit? Go to London. Every home which has even remotely a heritage has a blue plaque telling you who lived there, and it's preserved. If you don't care for your history, it will be distorted.
Right, I completely agree.
At least 1%.
Hi sir, it's nice to meet you. My name is Carissa and I'll be studying history and IR at King's this fall. So, Mr. Varma, in January 2020, you publicly challenged your own party's political alliances, specifically questioning JDU's decision to align with the BJP for the Delhi Assembly elections. In a letter to Nitish Kumar, you expressed being deeply perplexed by this move and sought ideological clarity, even quoting private conversations on social media, where the Chief Minister had allegedly criticized the BJP's leadership and its direction for the country. When Kapil Sibal resigned from the Congress party, he chose to maintain decorum and refused to speak ill of his former party, stating, "I am no longer a congressman. Within the Congress, I could say what I felt. Outside, I have no business commenting on the past." Isn't this the standard of integrity, discretion, and professionalism we should expect, especially from you, sir, with a long diplomatic career where trust and confidentiality are paramount? How does publicly airing private discussions align with the standards of diplomacy and statesmanship?
Actually, the letter that you're referring to, I wrote in the context of my ideological opposition to the CAA hyphenated with the NRC. And I followed the following SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. As the National General Secretary of the party, I first spoke to Mr. Nitish Kumar, to whom I was very close. And incidentally, I want to say personal relationship and political differences based on conviction are two different matters. Nitish Kumar is still a friend. I told him that this is not congruent to your own ideology for the last decades. So you cannot endorse it. At least for me, that would be very painful. He chose not to take my advice because by then he had moved to the BJP overnight without consulting any of his 5 national general secretaries. Given that situation, my opposition became public.
But Mr. Varma, this raises a profound and enduring question of consistency. You voluntarily dissociated from JDU and publicly challenged.
I was expelled.
You were expelled.
Not voluntarily dissociated.
You were expelled for raising your concerns from the JDU and over your ideological divergences which you presented publicly. And you believed that this was the correct method for you to do so because in your opinion, the party was shifting from the ideology it once preached. Yet, concurrently, you have repeatedly censured the Congress party for internal dissent, characterizing its members as undermining the very fabric of the party. In your writings for the Deccan Chronicle, you described Congress's internal strife as shenanigans, drawing an analogy to the conduct of the 2 Nawabs in Satyajit Ray's seminal film, Shatranj Ke Khiladi.
Your time will be finished by your question, so give me time to answer.
Yes.
That's why you should never read. Ask me a question.
So basically, following the suspension of S. Nair and AP Anil Kumar, S. Nair and AP Anil Kumar from the Congress, your column was written shortly after that, the essence is that...
Listen, I'll cut short your question because I've understood it, if you'll allow me, because of the time constraint.
Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
I believe that the Congress and the idea of the Congress is still relevant in India. But I also believe that the current Congress is incapable of defending that idea electorally. And therefore I compared their leadership to that of the two Nawabs busy playing
Okay, sir.
Shatranj.
We'll get back.
Okay. Hi again, Ambassador Varma.
Hi.
Yeah, so the question I have right now is like a little different from what I asked earlier. It's about my faith and Hinduism as such. I worship Lord Ram. I think he's my savior, and every morning and night I pray to him. So at the risk of upsetting a certain kind of lobby, I'm asking this question. You've spoken in the past about the Ram Mandir issue. Some argue that the Supreme Court's Ayodhya verdict balanced faith and law, while others say it actually rewarded illegality. I'm saying this from a theological perspective. My Lord Ram would not have liked a mandir being built where a masjid was broken, because both a mandir and a masjid are his houses. As you have also advocated in your work, that Allah is the same as God, right? So you've spoken in the past about the issue, and you've said that the demolition of the Babri Masjid in 1992 was wrong, and we agree with that. My question is, do you think that Lord Ram would reside in Ayodhya's Ram Mandir because of the fact that it was demolished earlier, the Babri Masjid was demolished, in a philosophical way? Would he like to be there?
You know, I've written a book on Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas.
Absolutely.
Exploring the character, persona, philosophy, and naturally divinity of Sri Ram.
Yes.
Certainly I felt the manner in which the Babri Masjid was demolished was wrong. Equally, I believe that if the Ram Mandir had been built by force, it would be wrong. Whether you believe in the judgment or the merits of the judgment, a due process was followed.
Absolutely.
And the mandir was built consequent to a judgment of the highest court of this land.
Yes.
To that extent, I believe that it had legality.
Yes.
But I do not believe that legality is equivalent to, necessarily, the larger issue of social morality.
Yes.
Which is that in our country, and in Hinduism overall,
absolutely,
when you enter parliament, when I entered parliament, the first thing you saw was Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam.
Yes.
Udara Charitanam Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. One of the other Mahavakyas of the Upanishads is Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, wise people call it by different names. With this as an approach, today's religious divisiveness, sometimes bordering on hatred, this whole division of society on the basis of religion, I believe is wrong.
Yes.
And I think we need to fight against these communal tendencies.
I agree with you on that. My question is from a philosophical perspective. Lord Ram would have definitely not liked another house of God being broken down the way it was in the as Babri Masjid was broken. How can he then reside? In my mind, the way I envision him, I cannot see him residing in a place where such an atrocity happened.
That is why Tulsidas in Ramcharitmanas, in the definition of Ram Rajya, through the words of Sri Ram, says Ram Rajya is that place where sab nar karahi paraspar preeti.
Yes.
All human beings give love and respect to each other. And that, I believe, is the guiding philosophy of Sri Ram.
But Ram Rajya wasn't followed in the guiding philosophy wasn't followed in the construction of the temple.
The ideal was laid down.
Yeah.
And to the extent that the temple was built following a Supreme Court judgment and not arbitrarily, I certainly think that its legality is established.
But not the philosophical aspect.
I already said.
Of course.
Hi, sir. So there's this viral video from Bihar where this journalist is asking a woman कि किसको वोट करेंगे, विकास या जात. तो वो पूछती हैं विकास कौन जात बा. So, sir, this is what Bihar today is. So, how do you think or believe we are going to change this?
Change is a slow process, but a definitive force. Why I say this is that if for 30 years Bihar has remained the poorest and the most backward state, if 1/3 of the population, 14 crore population of Bihar is officially below the poverty line, if as per the caste census which was done by the ruling government, the NDA, JDU and BJP, says that only 3% of Dalits pass the 12th class.
So, sir, do you think Prashant Kishore is the right guy?
That's why I'm coming to it. 5% of Ati Pichhadas are 12th pass. 7% of Muslims are 12th pass. In such a state, if you don't work to bring about change, whether successfully or unsuccessfully, I believe you are not doing what Bihar needs. What has Prashant Kishore set out to do? Or Jan Suraaj? It is to bring about this change. It is to educate the voters to ask for this change. It is to educate the voters not to be manipulated by cynical politicians who only use caste and religion to manipulate.
Sir, I believe
the fight is valid.
So I believe, and I think you will also corroborate to it, that Prashant Kishore built himself up loathing caste and religious ways and religion-based politics. But so there was this visual coming out recently where he was wearing a skull cap, where he was talking about this new formula that certain Hindus and certain Muslims can come together, or ek samikaran maybe they can form. So sir, don't you think that he is again following the same path?
I have been told about this line, and I talked to Prashant myself. He said all that I wanted to convey was that it is not, for the battle for change is not confined to one community.
So, but why
now, if it is in the assumption, as the RJD has, is that the Muslims, out of the fear of the BJP, will only go with the RJD, which has shown no potential to bring about change in Bihar. In fact, it's associated with Jungle Raj. He was saying that Muslims and Hindus must come together in order to bring about this change and to create that electoral momentum which cuts across caste and religion for a larger goal which is good for Bihar.
But sir,
what can be wrong with this?
But sir, I don't think that it came across like that. And sir,
maybe you didn't understand it like that, but that is the sentiment.
Sir, but
we are cutting across
most of the
caste
people
and religious lines.
I think people who were not from the party, like you, are saying that it didn't come across like that. But I think to the masses, it actually came across like
the masses are, by the way, the masses are saying, in this fight, we are all together. Because it is, I just gave you statistics, no community has been left out of the pernicious influence of misgovernance and corruption. So they are all affected.
Okay. So when I heard that statement, in some way I thought that Prashant Kishore has lost already. Because, one second sir, because the entire pedestal that he had said that we won't talk about it, that like just simply get rid of it. And sir, him talking about like that, do you think that somewhere deep down he realized that politics in India and especially in Bihar,
he was trying to say,
talk about caste and religion?
Very briefly, what he was trying to say is that the RJD's belief that they have a prerogative and monopoly over one community is wrong. That Muslims and Hindus must come together to fight for this change.
Okay, sir.
Hello again, Mr. Pavan. So we spoke about how Bihar is not being viewed in a very good image even within the country. You mentioned a little while back that, it's very important for people to be informed, and that is what drives you to write certain pieces of literature. You've written a book, you've written Becoming Indian, an unfinished revolution of culture and identity. Do you feel Bihar is an unfinished revolution of culture and identity in this case? Because you've been in the ecosystem long enough. We have Madhubani paintings, we have everything from Madhubani to Makhana coming from Bihar, yet nobody wants to go to Bihar as a tourist destination. So having been in that ecosystem, what do you think do you actually even want to change it?
I think the revolution of culture and identity had been in the past not only completed but brought to a level of excellence in Bihar which has few rivals. What we are seeing today contemporarily is the unraveling of that completion. The systemic destruction of a once glorious legacy.
But you
And therefore, we are trying to once again resurrect and reclaim Bihar. In a country which was the birthplace of Buddha, of Mahavir, which was the birthplace of Chanakya, which saw the kingdoms of the Maurya dynasty, the first really pan-Indian kingdom.
And also the way thriving cinema industry with Bhojpuri cinema.
So many other great markers of cultural excellence and civilizational civility. Today that has been unraveled. Look at the latest incident where from a political platform, the worst form of abuse is being used. So therefore I'm saying Bihar needs a new political culture.
But then the fact is even new political parties like yours continue to propagate the state along the lines of caste and religion. They don't go back to the glorious state it was.
You haven't understood the basic message of Jan Suraaj, and I'll reiterate it for you. From the beginning we are saying, धर्म और जाति से उठकर वोट दीजिए, यानी do not be manipulated.
But what is that larger goal?
The larger goal, I can't repeat myself more than once beyond the point. It is change, बुनियादी परिवर्तन, foundational change in Bihar, because for 30 years we have seen stasis of the worst kind perpetuated by cynical politicians who use religion and caste to manipulate voters.
Are you saying that they do not want Bihar to be restored to the glory it was?
Of course I'm saying all they want is political power. And that needs a challenge, which is being provided by a new alternative called Jan Suraaj.
And what would you do, using your experience, of course, within soft power, to actually change that image of Bihar?
No, it's soft power is something that is the natural heritage of Bihar. In order for it to be projected, in order for it to once again regain its lost glory, we need to have governance change in Bihar. Without that, I would ask you, would you visit Nalanda as a lady alone? No.
But even if the governance changes, I don't think that I will visit Nalanda. It has to be part of a larger plan.
If law and order is secured, and if the administration functions, and if the chances of hooliganism reduce, and if there is economic progress and some level of prosperity, yes, you would, and people do.
Let's hope I visit next summer. Nalanda and not Rome.
Good evening once again, sir.
Good evening.
So the alcohol tax will only generate rupees 20,000 crores. Gandhiji was adamantly against alcohol. He might not have explicitly said to ban alcohol by law, but he was against it. So further, the Lancet study in 2024 estimates prohibition has prevented 2.1 million cases of domestic violence. There's a direct correlation between prohibition and the reduction in domestic violence cases.
Who has given you these statistics?
It was a Lancet study of 2024. Are you ready to see an increase in violence against women? Can you assure the women of Bihar that your party's contentious take on prohibition will not pose any further adverse consequences for them? And apart from it, isn't it cherry picking? Like, you believe in Gandhi, but it's sort of a convenience.
You are giving me an alternative which actually doesn't exist. You are saying that by removing prohibition, alcohol will be available, which will lead to domestic violence. I'm trying to tell you that more alcohol is freely available in Bihar, possibly than prior to prohibition. Because now alcohol comes to Bihar like a magnet attracts iron filings at a premium and through an organized mafia, which has also corrupted the police, apart from which it has created a new drugs culture. Urta Punjab ke baad urta Bihar hoga. Look at the damage it's causing. Look at the women whose husbands are lying in jail, usually of the poorest classes, because they have been picked up on the suspicion of consumption of alcohol and don't have the money even to put up for bail, and they are languishing in jail, the sole bread earners of families, while alcohol is available freely all around. Where is your argument?
So you saying by changing the law itself,
we are going to abolish this farzi sharab bandi, fake prohibition, and we will try to regulate policy to reduce the consumption of alcohol, rather than this type of blatant, ineffective hypocrisy.
Fair enough, sir. There's one extra question which I would like to butt in. Bihar's politics since the early 2000s has been dominated by coalition governments. So if I were to put a hypothetical situation, for example, if you were in a position that you have to join hands with the current political blocs present, who would you be inclined to joining hands to form the government ideologically, if that comes to...
The question does not arise. We've made a public declaration.
But in your personal view,
in my
who would you
personal
prefer?
view, we will not join any of the parties. In my personal view, as per our current proclamation publicly made, no pre-poll, no post-poll alliance.
In hypothetical sense, if you were to join...
You are asking me to make a hypothetical choice in a hypothetical situation for a hypothetical possibility that does not arise.
Are you inclined towards JDU, BJP, or will you go completely?
As far as Bihar is concerned, all these parties have been collectively complicit in the ruination of Bihar.
And that has to change.
That has to change.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Mr. Varma.
Hi.
So I'd like to start by just mentioning a few countries. So in Singapore, as you know, Lee Kuan Yew, one of the first things he did when he took over Singapore was that he ensured that civil servants and politicians will enjoy a substantial salary so that they can live a life of comfort, and this thereby reduces the chances of corruption in the country. And the same goes for the UK, the US, judges. They're all extremely well paid. In India, comparatively, civil servants enjoy meager salaries. I went through your Rajya Sabha manifesto for 2014, and before that, in the 515th issue of Seminar magazine, you said that your father was involved in government service. Is that right?
That's right.
Yes. Your Rajya Sabha affidavit says that your wife is an artist. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. The same Rajya Sabha affidavit says that that at that time in 2014, your total accumulated assets were worth 53 crore rupees. In 2012-13, you enjoyed a annual salary of 14 lakh rupees. Yet in 2012, you bought a Mercedes S-Class, which was worth...
Not S-Class.
C-Class, sorry.
I wish I could.
Which was worth 21 lakh rupees.
It was an E200.
Okay. Which was worth 21 lakh rupees. And in 2013, you bought a Land Rover, which was worth more than 30 lakh rupees.
It was not a Land Rover, it was a free...
That's what the affidavit says.
No, it does not say Land Rover. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay. I have nothing to hide. I'll put all the facts before.
It says that your furniture, books, appliances and artwork were worth more than 75 lakh rupees. This was all available on My Neta's National Election Watch website. So with this, I would like to ask you, sir, that would you like to expand on your sources of income as a politician in the spirit of accountability for the Jan Suraaj party, who has Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi as its symbols?
With great pleasure.
Please.
My grandfather was the first Indian Chief Justice of UP.
Okay.
My father was in the ICS.
Okay.
I spent 34 years in the Foreign Service.
Okay.
My family has inherited assets which are all mentioned in that affidavit.
Okay.
That 53 crores, the bulk of it, comes from a 1,000 square yard plot in Vasant Vihar, which my father bought for 34,000 rupees on installments.
Okay.
Today, its value is exponentially higher.
So you're saying you rent that property? You've put that property on rent? I don't mean to intrude, but...
No, I had put that property on rent, and after I rebuilt, I sold an apartment. So, what I own is entirely accounted for. It was not made yesterday.
Okay.
And unlike some other politicians, I'm not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
What I own I can account for. What I earn, I can account for. I pay my income tax, there is nothing I had. Therefore, I live the way I live, and let me tell you, I know of a politician far richer than me, who I will not name.
Why, sir?
Who, because I am speaking about myself and I don't want to drag in somebody
I
else.
agree.
Just a second.
Just one small second. I agree. I completely
I'm
appreciate
telling
that you're being accountable.
When Nitish Kumar would come...
But sir, if you have information about another fellow politician who might have acquired wealth through unjust means...
Then we will take 2 hours sitting
but
here.
You're not naming the name,
I'm talking about myself. As far as my assets are concerned, my life and what I have is an open book. There is a colony in Varanasi from the lands we have owned as a family, which is named after my grandfather and built and developed by us. So therefore, all the money I have, and frankly I should have had more had I not spent it so injudiciously. But it is accounted for. I pay taxes on it.
So you think civil servants should be well paid?
And sorry?
You think civil servants' salaries should be raised as well?
Civil servant salaries, I want to say to you, I don't know if I have the time, but I'll say it to you before you ask.
Ji sir, bilkul.
Civil servant salaries have nothing to do with the proclivity of corruption. When my father was in the ICS, it was called the Heaven-Born Service. His take-home salary was 3,000 rupees, which was considered quite high in those days, but by today's standards, very low. He was so scrupulously honest that on Diwali, when a basket of gifts came, he used to take one apple out of it and return it. Today, bureaucrats earn much more, have all kinds of plaques on their cars, all kinds of unaccountable incomes. And what comes on Diwali, don't even ask me. So being richer and being corrupt, less corrupt, there's not an established nexus. Because human greed has no ceiling.
So, but you're talking about only the top brass. It's the lower brass of the civil services, which is actually on ground implementing policies.
I'll tell you, where is the beach of corruption in our country? Let me explain.
Yes, sir.
I've written a book called Chanakya's New Manifesto. I would like you to read it.
Absolutely.
The beach is the nexus between unaccountable money and politics.
Yes, sir.
When governments have come to power, when people's representatives come to power through money which is unaccounted for, that sends an impulse down the system for the validation of corruption. Therefore, I believe one of the first things we need to do is electoral reform. And in that, we in Jan Suraaj very strongly believe that there should be crowdfunding.
Sir.
You give me 10 rupees, buy a transfer, which is on a website.
So if I may intrude, I would like to ask my question as well. So you were the National General Secretary of JDU. You were the National Vice President of TMC. Now you're the National Chief Spokesperson for JSP. So आप मतदाताओं को ये कैसे भरोसा दिला सकते हैं कि आप इतने because you made some major switches in your political career, आप मतदाताओं को ये कैसे भरोसा दिला सकते हैं कि वो आप you're in for the long run and you'll be a face of the party for the say next 5 years at least till the party becomes.
देखिए मैं आपको बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से बताता हूँ, JDU से को मैंने नहीं छोड़ा, मैं JDU से निष्कासित हुआ.
जी सर.
I was expelled.
जी.
For reasons which I still consider to be valid, which was a principled ideological opposition to a certain position the party took. The TMC, by joining TMC, although I have the highest respect for Mamta ji as an individual, I can say now, was a decision probably taken in haste because there was another form of thinking at that time, whether she as one of the really politicians who had risen from the lowest levels, who lives, if you go to her house in Kolkata, you find it difficult to find it. She lives in a 3-bedroom house. Wears, what are they called, Hawaii chappals even today. So anyway, the idea was if she could become, and she's a fighter, there's no bone that was not broken in her body in the fight against the Communist Party before the TMC came to power. Whether she could be projected nationally And many people outside Bengal joined TMC at that time.
Yes, sir.
Kirti Azad, Ashok Tanwar, myself, Shatrughan Sinha, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
After a while, we realized that perhaps our place is not there in the TMC, which is still largely a regional party, and I left.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So you've been saying that there's been no actual development in the past 30 years in Bihar. It has remained the poorest and backward state. आपने ये भी बोला सर कि पिछले 15 साल में सरकार और पॉलिटिकल पार्टी सिर्फ जाति और धर्म पर काम करते हैं. बट सर बात है कि आप 8 साल के लिए आप उस सरकार में थे. पहले आप राज्यसभा एमपी के रूप में थे, फिर जनरल सेक्रेटरी में. तो तब क्या कुछ विकास नहीं हुआ था सर? सेकंड ऑल्सो द एनुअल सर्वे एजुकेशन रिपोर्ट 2024 by the Pratham Education Foundation estimates that 70,000 schools don't have any computer facilities and 31,000 have no libraries. So how exactly is your party going to fund the education sector reforms that according to Prashant Kishore cost 5 lakh crores?
Very good question. First of all, when I was with Nitish Kumar, frankly, I'll be honest with you because we are talking to youngsters and even otherwise, कहता हूँ सच की झूठ की आदत नहीं मुझे. The simple truth is that Nitish Kumar seemed to me to be a ray of hope. After 15 years of the jungle Raj of Lalu Yadav, he seemed to be a principled politician, scrupulously honest personally, with administrative acumen, with a resolve and will to change the situation.
So did development take place?
I think that first of all, he spent the first term controlling the pernicious or the unfortunate consequences of 15 years of Jungle Raj. Bringing in law and order, bringing back institutions, setting up the machinery of government again.
Correct.
In his second term, he began to work on development. But very soon that got derailed. Because in 2014, when he fought the election, the parliamentary election, in opposition to Narendra Modi, alone, without a alliance with any other party, we got 2 seats out of 40.
Correct.
He resigned as chief minister. Jitan Ram Manjhi became chief minister. Then he fought back somehow in alliance with the same person whom he had fought, Lalu Yadav, and became chief minister. But then 3 years later he shifted to the BJP, shifted back to the RJD, shifted back to the BJP. So Nitish Kumar, in my view, having shown promise, lost the plot somewhere.
Got it, sir. And so, how exactly are you funding this education sector reform?
We, in our view, at the moment, the first thing we want to do is that the revenue lost through this farzi sharab bandi,
So 20,000 crores a year though, sir.
20,000 crores will be put in a separate fund specifically earmarked for education. Then we plan to take an interim measure while we are able to raise the resources. In every district of Bihar and Prakhand, we want to build one modern school, like modeled on one very good school in Bihar called Netrahat, which has sent scores of IAS, IIT, IIMs. We want that we will build such a school in each district. But until that is achieved, we are saying that all those where there are no government schools available can send their children to private schools which are functioning, and we will pay for that education.
So my simple question, where's the money coming from? 5 lakh crores and 20,000 crores only for alcohol. But even 6,000 crores of your raise of the pension cost 6,000 crores. All Prashant Kishore estimates.
Yeah.
So if 20,000 crores is the revenue you're generating, 6,000 crores is just for pension and 5 lakh crores is for
5
education.
lakh crores, we have no magic wand and the problem is huge, but we have a 5-year period to implement it. And during that, we hope to change the economic structure of Bihar, including the flight of capital. And also we strongly believe that Lakshmi follows Saraswati. If you are able to give to the talented young people of Bihar an opportunity to create in wealth, wealth will come.
Hi again, sir. I would just like to continue my discussion about how Bihar will plan to deal with Delhi during their governance.
Sorry?
How you will deal with Delhi, the central government, when Jan Suraaj has Bihar. So I would just like to flip it. Let's say that you were saying that alliances may not be able to be, like they're formed and you have great negotiation power, but would Delhi want to negotiate till that extent, till the extent that what Bihar needs, like, would it be able to support the change that Bihar needs if you weren't on good terms or you weren't in a good alliance with Delhi?
What did you say your name is?
Ria.
Jia.
Ria.
Ria, let me explain to you. We are a federal country with a unitary bias, but states enjoy certain powers which are in the constitution, which are sacrosanct. The center enjoys certain powers. That's the union list and the state list, and then there is a concurrent list. I'm extremely against this phrase double engine sarkar. What does it mean? That unless you have the same government in Delhi and the same government or its alliance partner in a state, it's a single engine? No. The constitution says that irrespective of the color of the party, states enjoy certain rights and centers have certain obligations vis-a-vis the states which they are bound to implement. Therefore, I can't understand the content of your question when you say that if you are not cooperative with the center, how will you negotiate with them? Who said we are going to fight with them? But I don't have to be their yes person or yes man, as the phrase goes. I can have my own views, you can have your own views, and this double engine business is frankly against the ethos of the constitution.
Yes, I completely agree. And of course, this is a very understandable and ideal situation that everyone works to their own autonomy and fulfills their obligations. But don't you think that having an alliance with the central government would strengthen the amount of support Bihar might get?
Then we might as well become a political monolith. If we must all have an alliance with the central government, then what is the role of a ruling party and an opposition? So therefore, hopefully we'll have one day our own government at the center and finally have a double engine, which I am against, because we'd like to be as good to each state irrespective of their political color. But this notion that in order to get the center support for what are your rights or what should be the support you deserve under parameters laid down in the constitution and in the planning documents of the Niti Aayog or whatever, that I must be in alliance with that government, to me is absurd and is against every aspect of the constitutional democracy in India.
I understand, sir, but do you think that if Bihar is against BJP and Congress, do you think that puts them at a disadvantage?
First of all, I don't know whether Congress will be at the center and I don't know how long the BJP will be. So leave alone parties. I'm talking of the principle. This principle that state governments must be in alliance with the center. The word alliance is anathema to the spirit of the constitution and to its federal structure.
Right, sir. I agree. Thank you, sir.
Daniela.
Yes, hello again. So I have an entirely different question now.
Thank you.
As someone who served in the Indian Foreign Service for over 3 decades before voluntarily retiring to enter the public life, how do you view the larger question of whether government servants should actively participate in political life after their tenure in service? Because civil service exists to be apolitical, the very foundation of the civil services is neutrality. And if officers begin to see politics as the next career move, that neutrality risks being compromised. So do you believe that their experience strengthens the democracy, or should there be a clearer separation between bureaucracy and politics?
My own view in the matter, and this is a question which needs further introspection in some categories. While one is a civil servant, and I can speak for myself, I have been strictly politically neutral or apolitical. Once I voluntarily resigned, I believe it was my choice to enter public life and enter politics.
Right.
But I wasn't more ordinary or a mere civil servant. There are some categories where what the principle I am speaking about needs to be further looked into. For instance, the case of CBI directors,
Right.
or chief election commissioners,
Right.
or even in some cases Supreme Court judges or chief justices of the Supreme Court, whether after tenures of this nature, where their role of impartiality has to be clearly emphatic,
Right.
they should be part of any system which appears to be a reward for either the services they have rendered, or that they are inducted into political life through a Rajya Sabha membership or a governorship and so on and so forth.
But that perception of bias alone damages trust for citizens. So what can politicians and bureaucrats do moving forward to ensure that citizens don't question past decisions?
I think that one of the suggestions is a cooling off period of 2 years. Some bureaucrats after retirement immediately become members of corporate boards when they have been dealing with the same subjects while in service, which also is a matter of discussion and raises question. So this is a larger question, but in my case I was a mere diplomat. The rules allowed it. I voluntarily resigned and joined public life, and there have been dozens upon dozens of precedents of that nature.
But in the general context, do you think that civil servants moving into an area of public life, does it not act as a conflict of interest? They're moving from a place of being neutral to a place of changing ideology.
In my view, what acts as a conflict of interest is when, while in service,
Right.
they are maneuvering either for political patronage or preparing the ground to join politics. But if that is not the case, and after their retirement or after they have voluntarily resigned, they choose to be on a wider, bigger scale of public service, why not?
Right. Thank you very much.
Hello again, sir. I have a completely different question this time. So it's more based on the party itself. So your party asserts that it is committed to empowering ordinary citizens, particularly in relation to grassroots empowerment, fostering inclusion, and safeguarding the fundamental rights of citizens. Is that correct, sir?
By and large, we are working for the betterment of the ordinary citizen.
Right. Yes. Right, sir. So as you said, this party presents itself as the guardian of the people and is working towards bettering the lives of the common people of Bihar. Yet for me, the irony is stark, sir, as the very foundations of democracy are being chipped away and the citizens' fundamental rights are denied. Your party stands silent, like a watchtower whose signal fails when the fortress it is meant to protect is under siege. Data indicates that in Bihar, the SIR has resulted in over 65 lakh names having been deleted from the voter list and women voters having been disproportionately affected.
So if your question is that Jan Suraaj has been silent on SIR, I think you are misinformed. I'm the chief national spokesman. Please go to Google or YouTube and you will see my very vocal opinions on what I believe is wrong with the SIR exercise, while accepting that the Election Commission has the right to carry it out. So we are very forthright in our views
Right, sir.
on what we consider wrong.
So I was coming to this point. Many leaders of the party, like for example Mr. PK, they have called for accountability and they have raised concerns over it. But how can the people of Bihar trust a party that claims to champion grassroots empowerment, but it is not taking any concrete measures to actually protect their voter rights?
But we are trying to protect the voters' rights.
So apart from talking about the issue, what else is the party doing?
What do you want us to do?
All right, that's all the time we have. But so you've been a diplomat, but you weren't diplomatic here at
I
all.
thought I was.
How was the heat for you, sir? How was this conversation?
I found it extremely enjoyable. Such bright young people, the future of India. And they didn't hesitate to give me a tough time. But I found the discussion very exhilarating. And it gives me hope for the future.
That's great. Thank you for taking all these questions so sportingly, and also to all our students for making this such an engaging conversation. That's all that we have for this time. We'll see you again soon on Take That.